Did you get it? Is it on?
Hey, welcome to another episode of Taking Over the World with Ed and Aaron. How's it going, buddy?
Another day, another beautiful day outside. Yesterday, the weather god snuck one in on us. Like, hey, don't get too used to that. Little rain, little overcast. And today, it's nice outside. So I'm doing great.
Now, is it because your teams all lost this weekend?
Listen.
Or is today a better day?
When we talk about losses in life, sometimes losses are in the eye of the beholder. If you're the Arizona Cardinals, did you really lose or did you win? Because of the season we're going for, and the ultimate goal is, let's be honest, is probably Caleb Williams at SC, right?
Yep.
By winning the game, we would have lost the Williams sweepstake. So by losing the game, but yet making it look competitive, did we actually win?
You did. I thought you guys were going to mess that up and actually lose out on the sweepstakes. I was like, okay, here we're going to go. They can't even tank right.
I was thinking the exact same thing. We can't even tank right. It was a rough go for my sports teams, folks. Cardinals went down. I'm a big believer is that you can talk tank and all that stuff that you want, but you get these grown men on the field that are out to
win games,
to do damage and get paid. Like there's nobody tanking. Maybe the things aren't orchestrated properly. I don't know. But, yeah, ASU, when that one hurt, I thought we were looking good. And
I thought you were going to win that game.
It was looking good, and then our defense turned into full-blown Swiss cheese. Holes everywhere. We couldn't stop anything.
Did you make the phone call?
It's possible.
To Prime.
Oh, I didn't.
You were supposed to set up Prime to come in and talk to us.
What? I got a little overextended this weekend, Wife was out of town on a girls' weekend, which is always fun. Had the kids. Luckily, I had reinforcements with my mom and my in-laws in town. But, no major tournaments, so we got around. I didn't get a chance to reach out to Prime. I heard he was busy, though, and I heard he was doing good things.
Yeah, he was doing good things. He was winning.
I will tell you what, one of my favorite Prime videos, I think it came out either yesterday, I saw it, was when he had the AD in the locker room, and then, I don't know the lady's name, I'm going to butcher, like Miss Betty or something, like, long time, huge CU fan, and, like, they gave him the game balls, and he made Miss Betty, like, stand up in front of everybody, like, on this main stage and be like, give me my theme music.
Oh yeah,
dude, the place erupted. It was nuts. It was cool.
That was cool. That was cool.
What about you? What's going on?
None. Dolphins won. Canes won. It's a great day. It's a great day. But I did hear something interesting. So Miami's heyday was way back when. Right?
Which Miami?
University of Miami. Yeah. The Dolphins even further back than that. I mean, let's be honest.
When Finkel was on.
Yeah, when Finkel was on our team.
When Finkel was on.
That's when we were gonna win the next Super Bowl. But the Hurricanes, right? And we've gone through so many coaches in the last couple of years, and they lasted a year or two. And this year it seems like they're doing much better.
Sure.
It's only 2 games. I understand. It's a small sample size, but they're doing better. They're buying into the system. And I heard an interview with Mario Cristobal, and he was like, we needed a season like last year to kind of purge everybody's mindset and get everybody now thinking positive and understanding and trusting the process. So let's go through the process so we can become winners again. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Do you think...
Oh, you're going to ask me to think.
I'm going to ask you to think.
It's
funny how, like our sports conversations, they just get wrapped up right back into business in the world, right?
They always do.
Because you talk about like real estate in general, and you talk about agents. And, I was on an education thing with one of my coaches putting on a big thing. And a lot of people from Arizona, they talk about we thought we had agents here. I mean, Arizona's littered with agents, right?
Right.
And, when I transformed, transcended, transpired, transformed, from like my real estate knowledge from before and into more of an agent, I was like,
transitioned?
This guy.
That's why I'm afraid.
The you right there, the you. When I transitioned into this side of it and realized, man, there's like 16,000 agencies. It sounds like so many and stuff. And everybody who knew somebody was getting into it. What was it, 2021?
Yeah.
It was like, hey, you got a pulse. They were taking the classes and trying to pass the test because they knew somebody that was trying to sell. And like at that point, like you didn't really matter who. You're like, hey, you want to sell my house? You get a license? Great. Like I'll take some pictures, throw it up on the market. It's going to sell. I'm the greatest agent ever. And it's almost like we're going through that kind of maybe in the last 6 to 8 months, and now like where we see things going forward, it's going to be interesting to see like these agents we're almost like a giant football team, right? It's like what's going to happen because we've been through the good, we're kind of going through that shift and have been through that shift with these weekend warrior type agents. Have they bought in? Are they trusting the process, or were they just in it for the quick fix because they saw it on HGTV? This is selling the Strip or selling Las Vegas or flip Vegas, whatever. Like everybody thought it was just an easy buck because it can be done on TV, right? And now. I mean, what are we going to see when it comes to real estate? Are we going to see a huge drop off there?
Well, what I'm seeing now is it's really funny. So you see it as we're one big football team, right?
Right.
And I see it as we're a bunch of individual teams, right? And we're all in different conferences. We're all different teams, and we all have different coaches. And
which one's the Pac-12? That one's going first.
That's everybody who's been licensed for less than a year.
Everybody who's been licensed for less than a year is part of the Pac-12. See you later. You're done after this season. Got it. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's what that is.
Got it. Okay.
But what I'm seeing is, right, so there's some of us that are saying, okay, we understand that it's a difficult situation. However, there's solutions and there's ways around it. We just got to figure them out and talk to people and explain what the process is, right? But I'm also seeing now a lot of people that are agents that are now jumping on the bandwagon of this isn't the time to buy. This isn't the time to invest. This
and
isn't
why
the
do you
time.
think they're jumping on that bandwagon? I'm curious to get your take on that. And I don't know if you were going there, so sorry.
Yeah,
but
that's where I'm going.
I'm curious to see what your thought is on that.
So the easiest take, right, is saying, hey, you know what? Interest rates are high. The market's not where it needs to be. Don't buy. So then now you look like a savior and a hero for everybody.
Right.
Where reality is, based on inventory now, our inventory would have to quadruple, right?
Right.
For us to get to 15,000 listings, which is what we had back in 2008, for prices to start dropping dramatically.
Right.
I don't see that happening. There's a lot of people with equity. The problem we don't have a lot of movement going on in real estate is because people have a bunch of equity and they don't want to lose their interest rate and their equity to go buy somewhere else when they're just holding on. So there's not that up move or the down move that you normally see in a regular real estate market. So what I'm thinking is, are they, one, finding the cheap way out and trying to build more following on social media and everybody by saying, hey, the world is crashing, right? Versus being the ones that are saying, hey, you know what? This is what reality is. We don't have a lot of inventory. Houses that are priced right are going to sell because they're selling now. We opened an escrow on Friday. We just put in for a multifamily unit an offer on a commercial property. So there's still activities, but is it an easier way to just say, I'm going to cop out and just join the bandwagon people and say, hey, you know what? It's horrible. Don't buy. Or is it better to say, hey, look, this is what I see. And if you're not, again, trusting the process and you're not confident in what you're saying, then maybe that's the way to go. Everybody went with Prime and I keep using him because he keeps doing what everybody said he wasn't going to do, right? So Prime won, but Prime is, hey, this is our process. I saw an interview with him right before the game on Friday before their walkthrough, and he was in the locker room with the boys, and he's like, "Okay, guys, we know how this is. Tomorrow is suit day. I don't necessarily need you to wear a tie or not. However, I didn't know he had a collection of ties. I got to look into those, but he had a collection of ties. He goes, all my ties are there. If you want one, go pick one out and wear one. But everybody knows it's suit day." Once you get in there, you do whatever you want to do. You dress how you want to dress. But getting to the stadium, I want you in a suit. We're professionals, and we're going to look that way. Yeah. So I thought it was pretty cool. And people believe the process. Like, they understand. They get into his, and if things don't go the way they want to in the beginning, then he's like, okay, you think they're going to start flustering, and they don't. They follow the process. This is a process.
Well, and I think there's no greater example than that because, right, it's like the athletic director comes out and says, listen, like, well, it came to my knowledge, we were at a meeting the other day, UNLV was supposedly in the running for Coach Prime, right? Until Pac-12 or ex-officiato Pac-12, whatever it's going to be called, came in and the Buffs were like, hey, like, we got something to tell you here, right?
We'll give you $29 million.
Talk about trusting the process, right? The AD and Prime, I could only imagine being part of that conversation. It's like, hey, here's my vision, here's this, you're our guy. Like, what's it going to take? And they come to this number, $29 million, and the AD's like, and again, you talk about putting reality first and in this distorted vision of, well, like interest rates are this or inventory is this. Like, no, don't buy. Like, that's just one person's opinion, and that's probably not the most knowledgeable opinion, right? It's the easy way. It's a cop out, right? So, see, you could have easily been like, dude, listen, 29 millions, like, oh, we ain't got it. Hey, big problem. We ain't got it, dude. But see, you take the stance like, hey, listen, reality is we don't have it. Reality is we'll get it. You come here, you let us, we're down. We will trust the process. We will follow. We'll right the ship. Like, let's go. We got your back. You tell us what you need. Here we go. And they got it. Yeah, but so, you know, it is taking that leap. It's understanding and it's going down that and trusting the process and watching it work. And like, you know, and tying it back right into real estate is that so many people want to take the easy way out. And you talked about like a tank or this or that. Like, what's the easiest way out, right? And I think you're right. Like, so many people is like, oh, well, I'm not busy right now because nobody's buying. Well, we know that's not the case. Like you said, we opened escrow on Friday. You got multi-units going on right now. I mean, I know you're working on a couple of huge commercial deals, right? So it's like, don't tell me people aren't buying. People are buying every single day. It's the way that we're presenting ourselves in the situations to inform our clients. Like, I mean, why do we keep telling them that, well, the inventory's low, the interest rate's high, so you can't buy? Well, what if I go out there and I say, listen, the house I want has 5 bedrooms, a kidney-shaped pool, 2 stories, a half basketball court, and a batting cage in the backyard. And you go out there and you say, hey, Aaron, I got one right up the street, checks all these boxes. Price is $750,000. Well, why would I pass up on the opportunity to buy the house that you found me that checked every single box because the interest rates are high right now? Like, so am I willing to buy that? Like, and to your point, like what some of these people aren't telling you, and you hate to give away like all the behind the scenes on it, like the way that we think is like, okay, yeah, I bought whatever or refinanced, you know, like I'll give you my example. I bought in 2013, right? I refinanced when it was good. So I have equity, right? I have the low interest rate. Do I want to give that up? In an ideal world, no. But do I want to pass up on the house that checks every single box? If I now take the equity that I have, use some of that to put down, buy down, and even if I get it bought down to a 6, let's say, and let's say my payment is a couple $100 more. Well, I probably wasn't going to get into my next house that checks every single box for the same exact price, right? And if I sit around and waiting for that, you know, I'm the crazy one. And so now it's like, okay, I sell this house. I got the equity. I use it to buy the house that I really want. I check all the boxes. My interest rate's at 6 right now. So what happens? In the next 8 to 12 months, I'm going to refinance at 4.5, 5. If it goes there. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know, right? Or it's going to go to 12 or 13. And I'm going to be like, whew, good thing I'm in at 6, right? And I got my house that I want. So it's like we have to do a better job as an industry. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in, but for the real estate, like, informing the people that there's options. You have to be creative. You have to think outside the box. And the people that are just coming in as those weekend warriors that we saw come in, whatever industry it is, I mean, you're not going to solve the real estate industry, the hotel industry, the gaming industry, the sporting, whatever you come in and take over. Like, you can't just come in one weekend, pass your test and be like, now I know everything. And that's what I think the difference is going to be. Those people that don't know the process and don't know how to trust the process, those are the people that are just going to fall off.
And they are. And that's the thing is, like, when I bought, so you bought in 13, I bought in 17.
Okay.
When we bought in 17, we paid 6.5.
Right.
And we were happy to get 6.5.
Right.
Now I have 2.4, but that's a different story.
Right.
I got lucky. It went down. I bought it. I'm good. Sorry about that.
But it was able to go down.
It was able to go down.
That's what people stop thinking, looking forward for.
But my mom bought it, and back when she bought at 16.
Yeah.
And that was okay for her. Like, that's all irrelevant. Like, the interest rates, does the house, like you said, check all your boxes? Do you have enough? Do you have the right person looking for the properties for you that you're looking for? Do you have somebody that thinks, like we talk about all the time, right? We talk about, okay, this is our vision. This is what we see us doing together and what we want to build and how we want to help people, right? Do you see that, or do you see more of the, oh, you know what? It's a horrible market. It's a horrible everything right now. Let's just sit back and we do whatever we can and just cruise till the next year, next 2 years, and see what happens.
Well, and I think the key word there is vision, right? We talk about that with the agents we bring onto the Ogre Network. We preach vision, 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 because without a vision, yeah, you have people that's like, it's a bad time to buy. Inventory's low, interest low, because they don't have the vision, right? And I'll give you a great example. And I think this goes, and I'm not sitting here to say that I'm the greatest parent. I mean, we got our flaws, and I'm no exception, right? Maybe it's because my wife has done such a good job that, like the kids know, but But it was funny because, like I said, my wife was gone on a girls' weekend, which they do every year, which is awesome. A great reset, like. But my daughter she comes down like on Friday, right? And she goes, and basically she had a vision. She knew what she had a goal, she had a vision, and there was nothing that was going to stop her, right? Like it wasn't interest rates, it wasn't that she couldn't she kept being creative. So she had a goal.
So what was your vision?
Right?
You've been trying to tell me this all morning. You haven't told me.
She needed $35. Okay,
35
to complete her vision.
Okay.
Now, being the true rat holer that she is, she's got a piggy bank, and I know she's got $35 in there, but she doesn't want to touch her $35.
Right? She'd rather use
outside the box, right? It's kind of like lending, right? We don't want to use all of our cash to buy a house. If we can get it at the right price, we want to use the bank's money to buy a house, right? Why put all of our cash out there if we don't need to?
Right.
So I turn around, I'm like, well, yeah, like go for it. And she's like, hey, and my mom was in town. She's like, hey, Nana, they call her Nana. Nana, is there anything I can do for you that, like any jobs you need done? So she's already thinking, I'm like, okay, at least she's asking for work. So Friday night, I'm like, okay, well, finally, I'm like, all right, you can make me a charcuterie board, right? Give me some wheat thins and some pepperoni, some cheese. I'll give you $2. So she gets
$2.
$2.
There you go.
Fancy charcuterie.
Yeah.
Board, okay. Wheat thins, pepperoni, and Colby Jack is fancy, right? So then I see her come around the corner with like gloves on, right? So then I just kind of like keep my mouth shut and I'm watching this unfold, right? She's going through. She knows where like I empty my pockets and put like change and stuff, and like on a daily basis, you a couple quarters here, a dime. She's like, it doesn't. You don't throw it away. Money's money, but like you forget where you put it all. Next thing you know, she's coming around with the cups like. It's almost like she's panhandling through my house, right? She's going through here and money. And next thing I know, like by like midday Saturday, she's like, I'm almost there. I'm like, okay, how much do you have? She's like, guess. I'm like, $17. She's like, higher. I'm like, $20. She's like, higher. I'm like, $23. I'm like, how much is it? Like I'm like looking in my pocket. I'm like, where's my wallet? Like I don't keep any cash on me, but I'm like, and then so come there, she got like $27. She's rounded up from odd jobs. I think we gave her like $3 or $4. She's panhandled through my house. I think cushions were turned over. My car, like my console, my car, she found my desk, like up at my desk, my card. So come to find out, what she really wanted was what I think it's the mother's starter pack. It's the girl starter pack. She needed a Stanley. She needed the Stanley cup with the handle with the straw.
The Stanley,
the Stanley, yeah. A Stanley. So I'm like, all this for a Stanley, Brooklyn? She's like, yeah, Dad, I need my Stanley. And she's like saying it like all fancy. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not giving you any money for it. So you want it? Like, keep working on it. And she had gotten a return for something. I was like, okay, and I have that money. So like, okay, I owe you $5 still. So as long as you get to 30 by the end of whatever, like, I will go. And so she got up to $30 by Saturday night. So like in 2.5 days, she went through that house, found $30 and like a couple odd jobs. And I took her on Sunday. And then when we get there, all of a sudden, this is where the vision comes in, right?
Right.
She knew what she needed, but she knew what she had.
Right.
And that's what you kind of talk about, like, you know what you have with the interest. Like, so we went in for a $35 Stanley. Somehow she walked out with a $45 Stanley. But I held my ground. And she's like, oh, well, I'll give you the 10. I have more sitting upstairs. And she's like, you rascal. So, like, she knew that she had a pocket, and she knew she was sitting on a safety net. But, you talk about the vision, and she's 10 years old. And, you talk about vision, and, like, yeah, okay, fine, here's $40. I go buy it. Like, no, she had a vision. She worked for it. And, yeah, it was our money. But at least she went to the house. And so she had a vision. It was a Stanley vision.
Well, that $40 was all over the house. You guys didn't even know you had $40 there. She's the one that was like, I got this.
And some people... And
so she trusted the process of finding the money.
She had a vision. She trusted the process. And, and maybe that's where we get into, this real estate market. And, some of these owners, even when they bought the house, they don't know what they can do with that equity. Right. And so when we just go out there, or they hear over social media, over content, because everybody's got their own spin on it. Kind of like you said, the inventory is too low, the interest rates are too high. Then you got somebody's like, it's a great time to buy. Like, why not?
Right.
But I think even the homeowners don't have a vision. When agents sit down with them, I don't think they're helping them. They're not asking them. If I'm sitting down with you, Ed, is like, hey, Mr. Arazi, like, what is your vision? What are you trying to accomplish by selling this home? They just want to know, hey, how much do you want to sell this for? What kind of commission can I get? And how's that going to make my life better? Instead of, hey, let me bring value to you. What are you trying to do if you sell this house? Oh, I don't know. Well, then you have no vision. Why are we trying to sell your house if you have no vision?
Right. If you don't know what the next step is, why are you going to step one without knowing where step two is going to be.
And I think that's what people say. Like, now's a bad time to buy. Well, it's a bad time to buy if you're taking the equity and you are buying a house in the same neighborhood, same floor plan, model match, no pool. Like, if it's a lateral move,
or you're going to go make it rain.
Yeah, right? Like, so it's like I think sometimes, some people, and it goes across all industries, where sales becomes things, and like, do people have the vision to know what they're going to do with that money? And it's so easy for the sellers. Like, even when the market was hot, I had friends, they were like, hey, what do you think about selling our house? And I'd be like, like the agent, the commission side of people are going to be like, hell yeah, like, I know how much this house is worth. Like, let's sell that thing. My first question to them was always like, why? Tell me why first. Then we'll have that conversation, right? And they'll be like, well, because we got a ton of equity, rates are low. Okay. And say, absolutely, you're spot on. Where are you going to move? What's next on your agenda? Okay. Right. What do you need out of another house? Because I've been to your house. It's sweet. It's in a great part of town. It's in a great neighborhood. Like, many people are trying to get into this up and coming neighborhood. It's got a pool, very nice pool. Like, tell me what you're missing from this house that this next house would give you. Like, well, nothing really, but it's like, we could buy it. Like, okay, great. Like, I get that doesn't make any sense. And I think people don't focus on that vision. And, now they stayed and they got even more equity. And now, when they find that next house, and I think a lot of people, it's easy just to jump out and wing it.
Right.
But sometimes you got to have a little, trust me, I'm a fan of winging it. Like, like my wife would say, nah, we'll figure it out. Like, let's just get in the car, let's go, we'll figure it out.
That's
right?
not good, though. We can't be too many of us.
Yeah. But, at some point, like, when it comes to an asset like a home or money and financial investments, or, maybe like art or cars, things like that. Like how many people do you know, how long does it take some people to buy a car?
Oh, yeah.
Like, they have a vision, they go through, they do the research. Like, so there's some things where you can't just go out and wing it.
I'm telling you, I share this story all the time with people, right? So I have a really good friend. Shout out to Nate.
Nate Dogg.
Nate Dogg, yep.
Wait, we got to know, is it Flip-Flop Nate or Suit Nate? Because they're two totally different human beings.
Flip-Flop Nate.
This is Flip-Flop Nate.
Yeah, this is Flip-Flop.
Same person, different personalities.
Yep. So he was looking at buying a laptop.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, perfect. And him and I are completely the opposite, which is why I love talking to him, right? Because I want to buy a laptop. I just go online. I'm like, all right, this one looks good.
You have it here. Amazon Prime, 2 hours.
If I can get it in 2 hours, I get it in 2 hours. I don't care about it. It took him almost a year or a year and a half to buy a laptop. And he's comparing the speakers, the microphone, with the cameras, which one's better for Zoom. And I'm like, really? He's like, I know what I want it for, and I know what my laptop doesn't have.
Right.
So until I get everything I'm looking for and I can get the highest quality in all these things, I'm not going to buy anything right now. I'm just going to look. And I was like, wow. So that's a story I always tell when I tell people about people buying a home. If it took this guy a year and a half, almost 2 years to buy a laptop because he was so thorough about what he wanted and he was so specific, what makes you think someone's going to buy a house first shot? Be like, oh, walk into a house. Hey, this is my house. I want it.
What's funny about that story is that when he was describing, like, the way you tell it and stuff, and obviously I know Nate, and I saw him do the same thing because you've told the story too, with the headphones.
Oh,
and the headphones, right? Like, so
making me go into a training room, close the doors, and talk so you can hear me.
But what the funny part about it is that he never mentions money.
No,
like, he never says, well, I'm gonna have to put this on my credit card and what the interest rate is on the credit card, right? Because in his mind and in his vision, he knew where he was, he knew where he needed to go, and he knew there was gonna be a cost associated with that. And if it cost him, well, let's just say in this example, he's financing computer A for $100 a month. If he's got to go to $150 a month for computer B, it checked all his boxes. He knew what he wanted until he found that. He wasn't going to cave, so there was no reason to sell or buy a new one. But he also wasn't afraid of that extra $50 to get the one that checked all the boxes. And I think, like, going back to what you said, not having that vision, it's not that people aren't. And again, not every case is the same, and you can't paint them all the same, right? But it's like a lot of people, $100, $200 in their mortgage is not going to be the end all be all. And for some, it is, and they can't. It doesn't work. But it's like, man, to get that next level house or that next level car or something, would you, like you always say, you don't got a spending problem, you got an earning problem, right? Like, it's not an expense problem, it's a sales problem.
That's it.
But it's like, they don't bat an eye at that.
Right. No, and we don't.
But they focus on the wrong thing,
Right. And that's what the I think the whole issue is if you don't have a plan on what you're gonna do, then how can you do something? So he had a plan. He knew what he was gonna do. I have a plan when I'm looking at a house I want to buy or an investment I want to do. Like, I look at it and I say, okay, why am I doing this? Does it make sense? And it sometimes takes longer than others, but you know, and your daughter had the right idea. She wanted her Stanley. Like, that was the most important thing to her, was get her Stanley.
Yeah.
And what did she do? She didn't go ask you for money. She's like, how can I earn the money?
Yeah.
Because this is my plan. And then she got there, and I'm sure, because I know your daughter, she probably walked into the plan saying, okay, if I can get it a little, if he could cover the 10, we'll be good. But if not, I got it.
She got me to cover the tax. But, you know, just like that, you know, you go back to the same thing, is that she had budgeted for $35, right? But when she got there, she found the one that was a little bit bigger that kind of reminded her of her mom's, right? So it's like, ooh, I'm on the same level as mom. So for her, that $10, I'm like, that, I was like, there's no price tag on it right here. But I said, I will promise you, 40 ounces is more expensive than 32 ounces, right? At least for a beer it is, right? So I'm like,
that's your ASU math.
My ASU math, right? 40 ounces of Miller Lite is more expensive than 32 ounces. Now, you're putting water in yours, but nonetheless, I'm like, hey, this is going to be more expensive. Like, just so you know, and there's no price on it. It could be $37. It could be $55. I don't know yet. She's like, I don't care. Right? Because it checked all her boxes. Yep. Again, when she got in there, this was her budget, but she knew, which I didn't know. She had this little secret piece of information that I wasn't privy to, that she had a piggy bank still that she wasn't afraid to tap it. She didn't want to, but she knew if that next Stanley checked all the boxes, and for her, you know, that vision of having the one that her mom has. Like, obviously different colors. She got picked out her favorite color. So this one had a little bit better color than the one she originally had. A little bit bigger, reminded more of her mom's. And the $10,
it was a win-win.
She didn't even think twice. You know, and so when you start looking at interest rates or cars, or it's like people, it's not. We get focused on the right thing. It's like it's perceived value. That's what I'm looking for, right? It's like it's up to the buyer. Like, and when we sit here and we put this notion in their head, it's like, no, now's a bad time to buy. The interest rates are too high. Inventory's low. Well, why are you making that decision for me? I'm the one that's looking to buy. I hold the perceived value. If I feel like that house over there, that I got a bigger yard, I got a bigger pool, maybe I went from a 2-car to a 3-car garage, or whatever the case may be, but it checked my boxes, and it's going to cost me $300 more.
It's my decision, not yours.
It's my decision. That's my perceived value.
Yep.
Right? Now, some of them are like, hey, no, for $50, I won't go up in my monthly mortgage. But, you know, there's others, like, I'll go like my daughter. I'll start flipping over couch cushions, you know, like if I'm getting a batting cage in the backyard, a pool bag, you know, bigger pool bag, they're like, hey, for $200 in a mortgage or $250, because again, we can now use that equity to help offset the interest rates, maybe buy down a little bit. I mean, we all know there's some seller credit still happening, right? You know, so it's like, just to put a blanket statement over, it's like, no, inventory's too low, interest rates are too high, you don't want to buy.
No.
I mean, who are we?
So we just we have to be like your daughter. We have to figure out what we want and go after.
Be like Brooklyn?
Yep. Be like Brooklyn.
It used to be like Mike. Now we're gonna be like
Brooklyn.
Have a vision. Don't let anything stop you. And know what your bottom line is.
That's it. Have a good one.
Fair enough.
All right, brother.